Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Easy English Podcast. I'm Hannah, and as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Alex. Today, we are diving into a topic that many of our listeners struggle with. We are talking about the difference between the past simple tense and the present perfect tense. It sounds a bit like a school grammar lesson, but we promise to make it easy, natural, and super useful for your daily conversations. How are you doing today, Alex?
Hi, Hannah. I'm doing great, thank you. And I am so excited about this topic. It is probably the #1 grammar question I get from English learners. People always ask me, Alex, when do I say I lost my keys and when do I say I have lost my keys? They feel like both are correct or they just guess. Today we are going to clear up all that confusion so you can choose the right one without even thinking about it.
Oh, absolutely. I remember when I was learning, I used to just pick one and hope for the best. Usually, I just used the past simple because it felt easier. Just add ed to the verb and boom, you are done. But then I would hear native speakers say things like, I've already eaten, or have you seen my book? And I would think, why not just say, did you see my book? Is there really a big difference, Alex?
There really is a difference, Hannah, but it is not about how long ago the action happened, which is a very common mistake people make. Many learners think, oh, if it happened a long time ago, I use past simple. If it happened recently, I use present perfect. That is actually a myth. The real difference is all about time connections. Is a time period finished or is it still open? And does the action affect the present moment right now?
Aha! Is the time period finished or is it still open? That sounds interesting. Can we break that down with a real-life example? Let's use something simple, like drinking coffee. I love coffee, and I know you do too, Alex.
I love coffee. Let's definitely use that. So let's look at 2 sentences. Sentence number 1, I drank 3 cups of coffee yesterday. Sentence number 2, I have drunk 3 cups of coffee today. Both sentences talk about the action of drinking coffee, but the time words are different. In the first sentence, yesterday is a finished time. Yesterday is completely over. It is in the past. So we must use the past simple. I drank.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yesterday is gone. It is a closed door. So we use I drank. But what about the second one? I have drunk 3 cups of coffee today. Why do we use have drunk there?
Exactly, because today is not finished yet. The day is still going on. I might drink another cup of coffee later this afternoon or tonight. The time period is still open. So because the time is connected to the present moment, we use the present perfect. I have drunk.
Oh, I see. So because today is still happening right now, the door is still open for more coffee. That is why we use have drunk. What if I say, I had a cup of coffee this morning, but it is now 4 p.m.?
That is a brilliant question, Anna. If it is 4 p.m., this morning is finished. The morning is over. So you would say, I had a cup of coffee this morning. You use the past simple because that specific time block, the morning, is complete. But if it is still 9 a.m. and you are still in the morning, you could say, I have had 1 cup of coffee this morning. Do you see how it depends on the speaker's view of time?
Wow, yes. It really depends on whether that time block is finished or not. Let me try another one to see if I got it. Let's talk about travel. If I want to talk about my life experience, like visiting Paris, which one do I use? I want to say I went to Paris or I have been to Paris.
This is another perfect example. If you say, I have been to Paris, you're talking about your life experience. Your life is not finished yet, hopefully. The time period of your life is still open. You are saying, at some point in my life, up until this very moment, I visited Paris. You don't say exactly when because the exact time doesn't matter. What matters is the experience you have right now.
Right, my life is still going on, so the time window is open. But what if I want to tell you about the specific vacation I took last summer? Do I say, I have been to Paris last summer?
No, and that is actually one of the most common mistakes learners make. They mix a finished time word like last summer with the present perfect I have been. Once you say a specific finished time like last summer, in 2019, or 5 years ago, you must use the past simple. So you have to say, I went to Paris last summer. The moment you specify a finished time, the present perfect is locked out.
That makes so much sense. So last summer is a locked door. Once I say last summer, I cannot use have, I have to use went. Let me repeat that to be absolutely sure. I have been to Paris, no time mentioned, just my life experience. But I went to Paris last summer, specific, finished time. Is that correct?
Spot on, Hannah. You nailed it. Think of words like yesterday, last week, in 2015, or when I was a child as keys that lock the past. They tell us that the time is completely over. Because of that, they always go with the past simple. We can call them past time markers.
By the way, if you are enjoying this episode, taking a second to subscribe or like this video really helps our podcast reach other English learners around the world.
It really does. And please leave your grammar questions in the comments, as we love reading and answering them. Anyway, back to our tenses.
Past time markers. I like that name. They mark a time that is dead and gone. But what about words like this week or this month? They feel different because, well, this week is still happening. Today is Wednesday, so the week is not over yet.
Exactly. Since this week is still open, we use the present perfect. For example, you could say, I have been to the gym twice this week. This means the week is still going and maybe you will go to the gym a third time before Sunday ends. But if you want to talk about last week, you would say, I went to the gym twice last week.
Ah, I went for last week, but I have been for this week. It really is like a game of open and closed doors. Let's practice with another common verb because I know our listeners love concrete examples. How about the verb to write?
Perfect choice. Let's pretend you are a writer. If you want to talk about your work today and it is still afternoon, what would you say?
Today is still happening, so the door is open. I should say, I have written 3 emails today.
Perfect. And what if you were talking about yesterday?
Yesterday is a finished time, a locked door. So I must say, I wrote 3 emails yesterday. No have allowed.
You've got it. Now, let's make it slightly trickier. Imagine a very famous writer who is unfortunately no longer alive, like Shakespeare. If we talk about his books, do we use past simple or present perfect?
Oh, that is interesting. Shakespeare is not alive, so his life is finished. He cannot write any more books. His door is definitely closed. So we must use the past simple, right? We say, Shakespeare wrote many famous plays.
Exactly. You cannot say Shakespeare has written because Shakespeare is not here to write anymore. His creative period is closed. But what about a living author like J.K. Rowling? She is still alive and could write another book tomorrow.
Ah, so for her, the door is still open. We can say, J.K. Rowling has written many successful books because she is still alive and she might write more in the future.
Precisely. That is a wonderful way to see the connection between the present perfect and the present moment. The present perfect always keeps one foot in the present. It tells us that the story is not finished yet.
This is so clear now, Alex. But I want to ask you about another common mistake I hear a lot. Sometimes people use since and for with these tenses, and they get very confused. Can you help us understand how since and for fit into this open and closed door idea?
I would love to, because since and for are like best friends with the present perfect. They're used to talk about things that started in the past but are still true right now. They connect the past to the present.
Okay, let's use a real example. I moved to this city 3 years ago. I still live here today. How do I say this using since or for?
Since you still live here, the action is unfinished. The door is wide open. So we use the present perfect. You can say, I have lived here for 3 years. Or you can say, I have lived here since 2021.
Right, so for is for a duration of time, like 3 years, 5 minutes, or a long time. And since is for a specific starting point in the past, like 2021, Monday, or 9 a.m.
That is exactly it. For measures the length of the time jump, and since points to the starting line. But here is the big trap. Many learners say, I am living here since 3 years. They try to use the present continuous with since. That is a major grammar alarm.
Oh, yes, I hear that one all the time. I am working here since 2 months. That sounds natural to some because they are still doing the action right now, but in English, it is incorrect. We must use the present perfect because we are connecting that past start date to right now. So it should be, I have worked here for 2 months.
Exactly. If you use since or for to talk about a period of time leading up to now, the present perfect is your only option. It is the bridge between then and now. If you destroy the bridge by using the simple present or present continuous, the sentence falls apart.
It really is like a bridge. I like that image. But what about mistakes that happen when people mix up the past simple and the present perfect in daily conversations? Sometimes a learner will say something and a native speaker looks a bit confused. Or worse, they understand something completely different.
Oh, definitely. This happens a lot with life experiences. For example, imagine you are talking about a famous author. If you say, Shakespeare has written many beautiful plays, a native speaker will feel a bit uncomfortable. Why? Because Shakespeare is dead. He cannot write any more plays. The door to his life is closed. So we must use the past simple. Shakespeare wrote many beautiful plays.
Ah, because his life is a finished period of time. It is in the past. But if we talk about a living writer, like J.K. Rowling, we can say, she has written many books.
Exactly, because she is still alive. She might write another book tomorrow. The door is still open. This is why native speakers get confused if you use the wrong tense. If you say, my grandfather has lived in New York for 10 years, it means your grandfather is still alive and still lives in New York, or at least he is still around to have that experience. But if you say, my grandfather lived in New York for 10 years, it usually implies he either doesn't live there anymore, or sadly, he has passed away.
Wow, that is a huge difference in meaning. Just changing lived to has lived changes whether someone is alive or where they currently live. That is why this grammar actually matters. It is not just about passing a test, it's about communicating real-life facts correctly.
Precisely. Let's look at another very common mistake. Learners often use the present perfect with a specific past time word. For example, they might say, I have seen him yesterday.
Oh, yes. I have heard that so many times. Why is that wrong, Alex? Yesterday is in the past, and have seen is past, right?
Well, yesterday is a finished time packet. It is totally over. It ended at midnight last night. Remember our rule. If the time period is finished and locked in a box, we cannot use the present perfect. The present perfect always needs a connection to now. But yesterday has no connection to now. It is in the past box. So we must say, I saw him yesterday.
So we can never ever use words like yesterday, last week, in 2015, or 5 minutes ago with the present perfect?
Never. That is a golden rule of English. If you have a specific time word that answers the question, when did it happen, and that time is finished, you must use the past simple. Let's practice this. Hannah, how would you correct this sentence, we have bought a new car last month?
Okay. Last month is a finished time period. It is over. So I must use the past simple. The correct sentence is, we bought a new car last month.
Spot on. And what about this one? I have graduated from university in 2018.
Again, 2018 is a specific year in the past. It is finished. So I graduated from university in 2018.
Perfect. You see how easy it is when you look for those time words? They're like little signposts telling you exactly which road to take. If you see yesterday, ago, last, or in plus past year, take the past simple road every single time.
Okay, but what if there is no time word? This is where I get confused. Sometimes people say, I lost my keys, and other times they say, I have lost my keys. Both of those don't have a time word like yesterday or last week. So how do we choose?
This is the ultimate test of the present perfect, and it is all about the result in the present. If you say, I lost my keys, you are just telling a story about the past. Maybe you lost them yesterday, but you found them later. We don't know. The focus is just on the past action. But if you say, I have lost my keys, you are talking about right now. The result is that you do not have your keys in your pocket at this very moment. You are standing outside your house, cold and locked out, looking for help.
So I have lost my keys means I don't have them right now. It has a direct result on my present situation. But I lost my keys is just a past fact, and maybe the situation is already resolved.
Yes. Let's do another one. I had lunch versus I have had lunch. If you say, I had lunch, you are just stating a fact about earlier today. But if someone offers you a sandwich right now and you are full, you say, no thanks, I have had lunch. It means your stomach is full right now in the present.
That makes so much sense. The present perfect is really present because it affects the current moment. I am full now because of the past lunch. I am locked out now because of the past key loss. The past simple is just history. It is a story in a book.
Exactly. Think of the past simple as a photo. It is a frozen moment in the past. Think of the present perfect as a live video stream that started in the past but is still running right now.
A live video stream. I love that image. It really helps me picture it. So if I say, I have lived in London for 3 years, that is a live video. It means I moved here 3 years ago and I am still living here right now. But if I say, I lived in London for 3 years, that is a frozen photo. I lived there in the past, but now I live somewhere else, like Madrid or Tokyo.
Spot on, Hannah. You nailed it. That is one of the most common mistakes English learners make. They say, I live here for 5 years, or I am living here since 2020. But in English, when we connect a past start time to the present moment, we must use the present perfect. I have lived here for 5 years. It is the ultimate bridge between then and now.
Okay, I think I am ready to test myself, and our listeners too. Let's do a little interactive quiz. This will help everyone practice choosing the correct tense in real time. How does it work?
Great idea. I will give you a situation, and you have to choose which sentence is correct. Listeners, try to guess the answer in your head before Hannah speaks. Ready? Situation number 1. You want to tell your friend about your holiday to Italy last summer. Which sentence do you use? A, I have been to Italy last summer, or B, I went to Italy last summer.
Last summer is a specific, finished time in the past. It is a closed door. So we cannot use the present perfect here. The correct answer must be B, I went to Italy last summer.
Correct. You cannot mix a finished time word like last summer with the present perfect. Now, situation number 2. You are at a restaurant with your friend. The waiter brings the bill, but you realize your wallet is at home. You want to explain why you cannot pay right now. Do you say A, I forgot my wallet, or B, I have forgotten my wallet?
Ooh, This is a tricky one because people might say both in casual speech. But thinking about our rule, the important thing is the present result. The result is that I cannot pay for the meal right now. I am stuck at the table. So the live video stream is, I have forgotten my wallet.
Perfect. Yes, I have forgotten my wallet highlights the current problem. If you just say, I forgot my wallet, it sounds like a story. Maybe you forgot it this morning, but you went back and got it. But I have forgotten it means I don't have it now, so please pay for my pizza.
I will remember that trick next time we eat out, Alex. Okay, give me one more situation.
All right, situation number 3. You are a writer and you want to talk about your lifetime achievements. You are still alive and still writing books. Do you say, I wrote 10 books? Or, I have written 10 books?
Since I am still alive and my life is not finished, my writing career is still an open door. I might write another book tomorrow. So the time period of my life is still connected to the present. The correct answer is B. I have written 10 books.
Exactly. I have written 10 books means up to this point in my life, the total is 10. If you say I wrote 10 books, it sounds like you are retired or, sadly, no longer with us. It treats your writing career as a finished chapter in history.
This is so clear now. But Alex, how can our listeners make this a habit? It is easy when we pause and analyze it during a quiz. But when you are speaking quickly in a conversation, you don't have time to think about open doors and closed doors. How do we make it natural?
That is the golden question. The secret is to build small habits. First, pay attention to the words that usually travel with these tenses. When you hear native speakers, listen for already, yet, just, and never. These are the best friends of the present perfect. For example, I have already eaten, or have you finished yet? When you start noticing them, try to repeat those exact phrases.
So, instead of learning grammar rules, we should learn the small blocks of words that go together, like, I have never been to, or have you ever?
Yes, exactly. Don't build the sentence from scratch every time. Use pre-made blocks. Another great habit is the newsflash technique. When you want to share a piece of new information, start with the present perfect to grab attention, and then switch to the past simple to give the details. For example, hey Hannah, I have bought a new car. That is the present perfect because it is exciting news for the present. Then you switch, I bought it yesterday from a small garage in town.
Oh, that is a brilliant tip. I have bought a new car is the headline. I bought it yesterday is the detail. Headline present perfect, details past simple. I love that.
Yes, it is a very natural rhythm in English. I have seen a great movie. And then we went to the cinema on Friday and watched it with some friends. Once you notice this pattern, you will see it everywhere.
Wow, we have covered so much today, Alex. We talked about how the past simple is a finished time, a closed door, and a frozen photo. We talked about how the present perfect is an open door, a bridge to the present, and a live video stream. And we learned how to use them together for headlines and details.
We certainly did. And to all our listeners out there, don't worry if you make mistakes. Even advanced learners still mix these up occasionally. The key is to keep listening, keep practicing, and enjoy the process. Thank you so much for joining us today on Easy English Podcast. We hope this episode helps you feel more confident next time you speak. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.